I'm Brad.
I'm Scott.
Welcome to Curiosity.
We are in Austin, Texas for South by Southwest, doing a South by Southwest Takeover episode.
Boom.
And we're here with Paul, who's VP of Innovation at Rice. Paul, thanks for stepping out of the action and coming and hanging out with us for a minute.
That's my pleasure.
You are fresh off a panel here at South by Southwest.
Yeah, that's right.
How was the discussion?
It was good. It was a good conversation. It's nice to sit up on a panel and act like we're just having an intimate conversation in front of a bunch of people. So that's always a natural feeling. So no, it was good. I think it was a good conversation with all the panelists.
You're new to your role at Rice. Tell us a little bit about, catch us up to that role. What have you been up to sort of heading into that role? Yeah.
Oh, well, that's a long story. I thought this was going to be a short.
Just give us the
I'll give you the quick version.
Yeah.
The quick version is before I took on this role, I was the executive director of the Institute of Biosciences, Bioengineering at Rice. Before that, I was in the pharmaceutical industry, but my background is chemistry, physics, and a little bit of medicine, so I've done a lot of different science and engineering sort of background. But the Innovation Office, this is the first time we've had an Office of Innovation. I'm starting it. It was under Reggie, our president, Reggie DeRoche. Yeah. He wanted to create a new innovation arm of the university, directly reporting to him on all matters involving innovation. And so it's an exciting time. In the history of Rice, we've never had this.
That's amazing.
What a time to be alive.
What a time.
What a time, indeed.
What are some of the hurdles, as you're putting this office together? There's the weight of incumbency that exists in all these different kind of organizations. Rice has been around for 100 years. I'm a Rice alum.
Right.
What's been some of the smoother than expected, harder than expected?
Smoother than expected. I think what's interesting is that it's quite welcoming at Rice, right? I think since you're a Rice alum, I also graduated from Rice and PhD in chemistry from Rice. It's a very welcoming environment, and so it's much smoother in the transition in the sense that a lot of people kind of knew me, some of the folks, but then what's interesting about the hurdles is the expanse of Rice, right? It's bigger than I thought it was. There's all sorts of capabilities at Rice that I just did not know, right? We have one of the top music schools in the country. Didn't know that. Didn't really know that until I started digging into it and talking to our dean, Matthew Loden. And he was telling us about how creative our musicians are, right? And they're also entrepreneurial. It's not something that you would think of, right? They're creating their own brand value. So now I'm talking to the music school about how do you market yourselves, right? And this is a topic that I would have never thought of.
That's cool,
right? Because I was in the science and engineering side, and we were talking about creating tech to save the world, right? Creating new opportunities for people through jobs and training. But then when we talk to the musicians, they want to be able to brand, right? How do I get my icon out there? Right? One of the top musicians. I mean, we have some of the top musicians performing at Carnegie Hall and all sorts of venues. We compete with Juilliard. This is Rice, and people in the music space know that, right? But not a lot of people around Rice even know that, right? Because Rice is a very interesting place where so much dynamism is happening. And so capturing that, I think, is really exciting. So, one of the hurdles is that getting to know everybody, right? Just sitting down, having the conversations, getting to know each other, getting people to understand that this is not just about making money. It is about actually broadcasting who we are as a university. And I think that's the biggest challenge. I think a lot of people, when they think of innovation, they're thinking, oh, he's just going to be printing money from the office, which would be nice, just so that we could turn that back to the people who are being creative inside of Rice, right? Ultimately, that's the benefit of the office. It's really unleashing creativity from the university.
What does good look like? What's happening in the Rice Innovation Office the day that you walk away?
Well, that's a great question. So, I kind of alluded to that in the panel discussion a little bit. I really want people to feel that Rice is the place to come to be as creative, to unleash your creativity as much as possible. Now, in particular metrics, right, I think we need to have more startups than any other university, and by startups, I mean startup companies that survive. I don't mean just numbers of startups, because we can start a lot of crappy startups. That's pretty easy. I think a lot of people have proven that. We don't want to go there. We want to be able to create startups that people will really, you can bank on. And I think that's the Rice brand. I think a lot of people know Rice to be this high-quality place. And the stuff we're creating, years from now, people will say, oh, that's where the revolution began.
So the term innovation can be very broad and abstract at times and mean many different things. In your universe, how do you define innovation and the role of innovation?
It's a great question. I didn't cue you up for that, too, so I just want that known. But it's
We have
something
no script and no pre-recorded questions and curiosity ever.
I love it.
This is all organic.
This is great. This is genuine. So innovation, it's an interesting thing. So universities in general, research universities in the United States, create knowledge by taking taxpayer dollars and doing research with it. And what I'm claiming for innovation, to be this broad term, is innovation is giving back to society in a direct way, whether it's through music, art, or science, but it's really providing more goods and services back to society, and that's where innovation really begins. You can also be innovative, in your creative pursuit, right? But it doesn't exactly mean what innovation, the Office of Innovation, is really doing. But what we're doing is enabling people to be able to give back to the world.
So you're advancing society through innovation.
Yeah, it's the part of our, the mission statement for Rice has betterment of the world in there, right? And this is the big part of the betterment of the world. It's really the amplifier for everything that we're doing.
It's elevating invention that's happening around and putting kind of a commercial engine behind it so that
it'll be a commercial engine, but it could also be a non-commercial, non-profit sort of engine, right?
Okay.
It doesn't have to make money. There are ways to actually have impact that doesn't have money tied to it. But I think a big part of what you see out of society, is the technology that's being created really has impact when you can commercialize it. And if you can commercialize it at a point where people can access it, that's a big difference. And that's what we want to do.
Paul, we haven't spent a lot of time together, and so
Yeah.
we don't know each other well. When you're not thinking about innovation for Rice, where do you like to spend your time? Like, what is winding down for Paul look like?
Damn good question. You guys are good at this. I mean, sorry, shoot.
No, you can say shit.
Okay,
It's okay.
sorry.
Shit's good.
Yeah, but now my kids are going to have this the rest of their
We'll bleep it out.
life. Okay, there you go. So
We won't, but he could keep telling you we will.
there you go. So what do I do? So to really kind of unwind, I get very nerdy, and I get in the lab. I just start to do stuff in the lab. I tinker still. I still like to build and invent things.
That chemist in you.
More physics.
Craft
than
a cocktail in
chemistry.
the lab.
Well, it's interesting you brought up cocktails. Here's an interesting thing that's, I think, highly innovative. There's a professor at Rice who's also a chemistry professor, a friend of mine. We're working on a way to make spherical ice.
Okay.
You've seen spherical ice
Obviously,
in drinks, right?
yes.
But it's not a scale. It's a very sort of niche market, and it's not something that is cheap enough. And the technology that's out there, they charge thousands of dollars for these little machines that aren't that great, and they're not that fast, and they don't scale. So we've got. I think we've cracked that puzzle.
Wow.
So that's our fun.
That's
time.
amazing.
But that has nothing
Craft
to do
cocktails
with.
around the world. Thank you.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, you've seen these beautiful spheres.
Oh, and they're crystal clear.
Crystal clear.
Yeah.
That's the hard part, and that's chemistry. Right?
Yeah, I got some. I got recently from Visky. It's a brand that has barware, and I went ahead and bought a system that is massive. It reminds me of when computers fit in rooms, because this thing is huge for 2 ice cubes. You only get 2 ice cubes out of it.
Crystal
and
clear?
It's crystal clear.
Yeah.
But it is probably a foot tall by a foot wide for 2 tiny little square ice cubes.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, right? And,
No,
and the
it doesn't.
part of the reason is that people haven't really thought about, let's take chemistry and really put some effort into this. You've seen the YouTube videos, then it sounds like you know you're drinking.
Well, I haven't, but now I want to hear about them.
There's these YouTube videos, right? You take these those igloo kind of
Oh, okay.
right, those boxes, right? Those igloo kind of chambers, and you fill it with ice, and then the top layer of it is crystal clear. And
Yeah.
then these guys are just chopping these ice blocks. Right?
Yeah, so that's kind of how this one works.
Yeah.
A layer of ice goes in the bottom,
Yeah.
a layer of ice in the top, and the cubes are in the middle.
Yeah, and that's a crappy way of doing it. There's a better way to do this.
Gosh.
And people haven't really figured it out.
Please, this
and
is
then
awesome.
If we can get this off the ground, and I don't need VC funding for this, so this is just something that we can do, right?
Yeah.
But then getting it in manufacturer scale quality, right? Getting it out the door. I think the beachhead market of that. I didn't expect to talk about it.
I can tell you're passionate about it. This is
Well,
awesome.
you asked me what do I do in my
Yeah, no, I love
this is what we do.
We make ice. That is crystal clear.
We make great balls of ice. It's great, and it's crystal clear. But it's what's really cool is that it makes you very happy, right? When you make this stuff.
Mm.
That's really
cool.
what's great, right? And that's a high impact thing. So I tinker in that, and then I also tinker in some biomedical devices that we're making and stuff like that. And then the other thing is I play music, so we do a lot of. My family's very musical.
Oh, cool.
So
That's cool.
We play and sing.
What do you like to play and sing? Are you vocals?
Yeah.
Do you also play?
Yeah.
What do you play?
Bass guitar and piano.
Okay. I play nothing musically. I was actually sharing earlier. I can freestyle rap relatively well. I actually did it in
Really?
college. But that's my only even inkling of a musical talent. I can't play anything or
It's
sing
pretty
anything.
shallow waters for me as well in the musical space.
Really, you don't
I know.
sing? You don't?
Surprising with this
Yeah,
with
right,
this
yeah,
voice,
right,
right? I played electric guitar kind
Good.
of through high school. I grew up in
All
the
right.
Pacific Northwest, so like grunge
Nice.
rock was like my thing. So like
Right.
big major chord like electric guitar stuff.
Yeah.
And then my mom tried to get me to play piano, did all that, and I have a daughter who has some serious musical talent,
Oh,
and so
nice.
she's digging deep into the
Nice.
genetic pool to kind of bring that forward.
Oh, that's good.
So you and your family have like jam sessions and stuff? Or
Yeah,
you guys
anytime I go back
Wow.
to see my brothers and my mom, and we hang out and we sing and we play songs as well.
It's amazing. My wife's very musical. I
Oh,
wish
really?
I had that gift. Oh, yeah. She's a vocalist. She actually had a 4-ride at Pepperdine and turned it down to chase a boy at A&M. It was not me. It was pre-us meeting. And, yeah, it's one of my favorite
She
stories.
sings or she plays?
Yeah, she sings and she also plays piano.
Yeah, I think there's a strong
cool.
correlation to creative people and being able to do different forms of creativity. Right?
Yeah.
And music.
So many
music's
expressions.
A big part of it. Yeah.
So speaking of creativity, one of my favorite spaces at Rice's campus is the Skyscape that James
the
Terrell
Terrell,
created
yeah.
there. And I love to go and just sit there and watch the magic of the correlation and the relation between the artificial light and the natural light just erupt. It's so beautiful. How often do you get over there to experience that? And have you
Not
have any
enough,
beautiful moments there that have blown your mind?
No, not at Terrell. I think my beautiful moments happen in the lab.
Okay.
Because people who make things, right? Getting in a lab
Yeah.
or a workshop or like a machine shop or something.
Yeah.
That's where you really play for us.
Yeah.
Or you just jam in we have these little home Zoom studios now, right? So
Sure.
And one of my closets is a man cave now, and so I sit there and
Yeah.
I kind of jam.
With your clear ice. So
That's
when we
amazing.
have you on for a full episode, I expect a
Yeah,
report
we're
back
gonna
of your
double-click.
meditation
I
in
shouldn't have
Terrell.
mentioned it.
well, that with the ice, and we're going to sample
Yeah.
some. But you're going to go to Terrell
Love
before that, and you're going to just spend some time in meditation and let us know what new insights come out of it.
I really hope we can pull that one off. That one's going to be a fun one.
It's gonna happen.
There's going to be a lot of those kinds of things. With this office, this innovation office,
Yeah.
at Rice, entrepreneurship and being a professor who also wants to create a new startup was kind of a negative.
Sure.
It was for a long time a very
Seen
negative
as a
sort of-
distraction or something.
Right.
Yeah.
And also crass commercialization and all that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
right? But now people know that you are really helping people, and that is something that I think we want to really get out of the spirit of Rice. And it's always been a part of Rice, and I think that's going to be a really proud time when we can see so many people who can be themselves.
Love that.
Love that
Paul,
very
thanks for
much.
coming on, man.
Thanks
Yeah.
for hanging out with us.
Absolutely.
Boom.
Boom.
Boom. Thank you for listening. Join Brad and Scott next time on the Curiosity Podcast.